Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Daniel Aniniba. Welcome once again to the National Interest Waiver Green Card, Episode 3. And Episode 3, we are going to look at the EB2 National Interest Waiver Green Card eligibility to determine whether you are eligible or you are not eligible. But before that, we also want to have a recap of what we did last week. Unfortunately, last week we were not able to bring an edition because there was an important business which took me out of town. I apologize to my viewers, but we want to have a recap of what we did the last time so that we can continue from today what we are going to look at, especially with the eligibility of EB2 green card, who is eligible, and what are some of the things you have to show to prove that you are really eligible for this type of green card. So, like I said, a recap of last week's episodes. Last week, we looked at the myths and misconceptions concerning this type of green card. When we say EB2 green card, what it is and what it is not. So, we looked at a whole lot, whether people say you need PhD to apply, but we found out that no, PhD is not a strict requirement to apply. As a matter of fact, even people with bachelor's degree still are eligible. And today, still, we are going to look at it from, especially for USCIS websites. Proving that at least you don't even need a PhD to apply for this type of green card. So we looked at a whole lot of things. We looked at lawyers, either you need a lawyer to file or you don't need a lawyer to file. The decision to even pick a lawyer to file, what lawyer type to file, to pick, all of them were addressed in our previous episode. So if you have not watched the episode, I would just advise that you go back and watch it, and please subscribe and share. We need more subscribers. We need more people to subscribe and share the content, especially among the academic circles, and not only academia. People think it's only in the academic circles, professional circles, whatever professional endeavor you are finding yourself, it may be very much important to you or to somebody. So please subscribe to our page and share, so that even when we release the new content, you'll be able to also be the first, by first hand, you'll be able to have access to it. Thank you very much. Yeah, so like I said, my name is Daniel Aniniba, and today I'm going to talk about the eligibility for the EB2 National Interest Waiver Green Card. And when we say the eligibility, who is eligible for this type of green card? If you look at it very well, from the USCIS website, which is the United States Citizen and Immigration Service website, it says that you may be eligible for an employment-based second preference visa if you are a member of profession holding an advanced degree. A member of a profession holding an advanced degree or its equivalent, international degree, or a person who has exceptional ability. So you see that the advanced degree is not a strict requirement, because there are other ways, as you can see denoted by all. There are other ways you can also still show eligibility for the EB2 National Interest Waiver, as is shown there, like it's equivalent in international degree. That means either you have an advanced degree from the United States, which is a master's or a PhD, or you have an advanced degree from outside the United States. It can be anywhere in the world, from Asia, Europe, Africa, wherever you are. Or you may not be having an advanced degree, but you have other ways of showing exceptional ability, which we will be going into it in the subsequent slides. Yeah, so first of all, I want us to look at advanced degree as it was taken from the USCIS website. It says that advanced degree, the job you apply for must require an advanced degree, or you must possess such a degree or its foreign equivalent, or a bachelor's degree plus 5 years. Remember, I told you that one major requirement to meet in the EB2 National Interest Waiver is either you have an advanced degree or a bachelor's degree and 5 years work experience or exceptional ability. And that is what the USCIS is explaining here. What constitutes an advanced degree? So either you have an advanced degree, which is master's or PhD, or a 5 years bachelor's degree with 4-year bachelor's degree with 5 years work experience. So that is it. He said that you must also meet other labor certification requirements, which later time we'll go into it. It's just a form part, 1 or 2 page form you just fill. It doesn't mean you have to go and apply for a job from the Labor Commission. Yeah, so that is it. Now with the evidence, what evidence can you show to prove advanced degree? Instead of documentation such as official academic record, yes, transcript, Whenever you go to school, your official transcript will show all the courses you have taken and maybe the grades. GPA plays no role here. No CGPA is taken into consideration. They only have to get an advanced degree. So if you have passed out and you have gotten your degree, it's a degree. Whether it's a second class, upper, lower, whatever it is still a degree. So that is it. And so you can show that using an advanced academic record or a foreign equivalent degree. We shall look at what the foreign equivalent means. But just take note of that. And also showing at least 5 years work experience post-baccalaureate. If you're having a bachelor's degree, 5 years work experience in your field that you say that you have what? Exceptional ability in. If you're a doctoral student, mostly if a job that you say you want to come to the United States to work in requires doctoral studies, the USCIS may also look to see if you have a PhD or doctorate degree. But most of the time, the fundamental degree, the basic degree to get any professional job in the US is a bachelor's degree. So if you have a bachelor's degree, I think you should be good to go. The master's, good. PhD, fine, but it's still not a strict requirement, as you can see from the USCIS source. So what does the equivalent means? There are people, like I said, who will be filing this thing from outside the United States, who have never schooled in the United States, doesn't have a US degree. That doesn't mean your degree from outside the United States is not important. As a matter of fact, there is a way that you can go through to certify or have your degree equivalent to the US standard. And there are a lot of organizations that goes through this certification or equivalency standards. It's just a process you go through. You don't have any control over it. And then if you have a master's degree from whatever country you are, you're going to have a US equivalent of master's degree. If you have a PhD degree, you're going to have a US equivalent of PhD degree. And one of the most popular organizations that does this kind of equivalent is the World Education Service. You might want to go to their website and look at it. They have all the process you can go through to get your degree to them. They will certify and give you a US equivalent form, which you can use in your EB2 national interest waiver applications. Now, let's look at exceptional ability. Exceptional ability, last time I said exceptional ability is very broad. And let's look at what the USCIS is considered exceptional ability. It says you must be able to show exceptional ability in the sciences, arts, or business. Exceptional ability means a degree of expertise significantly above the ordinary encountered in the sciences, arts, or business. You must meet any requirements specified by the labor certification or what. So, exceptional ability can be in the arts, science, or businesses. Arts is arts, visual arts, general arts, fashion, modeling, whatever it is, it's still exceptional ability. So just take note of that. It's only not only in the sciences, as in the previous episode, we were looking at misconceptions concerning national interest waiver. You don't only have to be in the sciences to apply. Business, arts is very broad. Arts is very broad. And all of this, you can show exceptional ability in these ones to be able to qualify for the national interest waiver green card. Now, if you look at this one, as I've really noted with a red line, you see that you must meet at least 3 of the below criteria. Let's go and look at some of the below criteria that USCIS says we should meet. It says you should meet at least 3. So he has listed a whole lot of criteria. Your ability to just meet 3 is okay. If you're able to meet 3, 4, 5, good. So let's look at the first criteria. Official academic record showing that you have a degree, diploma, or certificate, or similar award from a college or university. Yeah, so if you have a bachelor's degree, of course, you're going to get your transcript, your diploma, your degree certificate. So let's say by this one, most people who are looking to apply, most people, I'm talking about the majority, there may be people in the minority class who may not even still have the bachelor's degree, but can still show exceptional ability. So he said that you have to show official academic record. If you meet this one, you can take it down as a first requirement you are meeting. You have been able to meet. You are meeting up 3 out of all these lists. So just look at the 3 that it will be easy for you to meet. That is as simple as that. And when you're able to do that, you have 50 or 60% of your work done. Now let's look at letters from current employer documenting at least 10 years of full-time experience. Remember, I said that if you have a bachelor's degree, you only need 5 years of experience. Maybe this one, 10 years experience is for people who don't have a bachelor's degree. So the exceptional ability was actually meant for people who are not meeting the educational standards, but still have what? The skills that they want to come to the United States to exhibit or to expand. So if you look at it, say at least 10, but I tell you, if you have a bachelor's degree with 5 years experience, it's acceptable. Master's degree, there's no requirement for experience, but they will mostly look at your research that you have been doing at the master's level. PhD too is the same thing. They are mostly looking at your research that you are doing. So that is it. Letters from employers. So let's say currently you are working with EPA in the country wherever you are. Your employer letter certifying that, oh, we have hired so and so, Mr. A and B, who has worked with us for about like 5 years and is in this role. It's enough. There are such official letters from employers will go a long way to make sure that you have satisfied condition 2. Now let's look at condition 3. Let's say you are unemployed. You are still a master's student. So you have met the first one. You can't meet the second one. Fair enough. 3, license to practice the profession or certification of your professional occupation. Let me tell you something. You may not meet this one right now, but this is one of the easiest criteria to meet. There are a lot of certifications that may be in your field. For instance, I know in environmental science, there are health and safety certifications that you can pursue. Some are 36 credit hours, some are just 20 credit hour. NEBOSH, for instance, have health and safety certification. You don't need to have a whole lot of certifications. At least 2 or 3 is okay. The environmental scientists, certified environmental scientists, professional organizations who give you additional certification to make sure that you meet whatever this requirement is. It's very common in the United States that beside your bachelor's degree, people pursue certifications, professional certifications, to attest to their skills, to verify their skills. That's what I'm talking about. So wherever you are, there are international certifications, some online that you can pursue. If you can pursue, especially short ones, which will take like 1 or 2 months for you to get, it will be very, very great on your profile. Now, license or certifications. So there are some who use either the term license or certifications. We know that those in the healthcare sector, for instance, nurses, we call it a professional nursing license. So take note of that. And also other fields may call it certification. There's not much difference in this kind of terms. Now, evidence that you have commanded a salary or other remuneration for service that demonstrate your exceptional ability. Of course, if you're having a job, of course, you're going to get paid. And if you are getting paid, you see, you don't have to earn, let's say, $100,000 to show that you are being paid in your field. But the greater the salary, the better. But you should still be able to provide or show evidence that you are commanding a salary, which is especially applicable to your field. So that is also very much important. Evidence that you have commanded a salary. What is the evidence? You can use a pay slip, a pay stub, a monthly pay slip, annual pay slip, whatever evidence you have that shows that you are getting paid a salary to do your job in the exceptional ability criteria is accepted. Membership in the professional associations. This one is also very important, and it's one of the easiest we can meet. You know what? Just find an association in your field and join. Pay that $10 dues a month, and that is it. Attend 1 or 2 meetings if you can. And at times, do presentations in some of these meetings or associations. For instance, you can join environmental scientist associations. You can join American Chemical Society. I know the American Chemical Society, they have international component where international scientists can still join. If you're a member of American Chemical Society, it's very much great and very credible. So there are a lot of professional member organizations that you can join in your field. They have medical science students organization, whatever professional associations. Just join. At times, joining some of these associations and paying your dues and having your name enshrined in their list of members is also good. You see that this one is easy to meet. Recognition for your achievements and significant contributions to your industry or field by your peers, government entities, or professional or business organizations. Yes, this one too, for instance, whenever you publish a paper or you publish your thesis, it has been recognized. It's one of the way of showing recognition. Thesis that you have published online. I know that in some countries, developing countries, you send your thesis at the end in the form of printed book, which is not the best because In advanced countries, they now submit their thesis in a repository. University have their repository that when you submit your thesis, and it automatically gets to Google Scholar, you can be searched on Google Scholar and your thesis will pop up. I think most universities or most scholars should start thinking about this and how to make your thesis published on the net so that you can have online presence. That's what I mean, online presence. You don't want to publish your thesis in the book format and put it in a shelf where other scientists cannot take advantage of. So that is it. Contribution to industry. At times it's knowledge or something you are just publishing from your work. It's also very much acceptable. If you look at it by your peers, at times some of these publications, when you do, they have to be peer reviewed. So all of these are accepted. At times, even presenting your poster, your thesis poster or your research poster in conferences, it's also accepted. It's a contribution. Okay, so all these things, there are various ways you can meet 3 out of these criteria. Now begin thinking, which of these criteria is very easy for me to meet? At least 3 of them. Now let's look at the last one. The USCIS is very much generous. That is said that other comparable evidence of eligibility will equally be accepted. This is a technique that I've seen and I see that people are beginning to use a lot. At times, people even take photographs of things they are doing, samples of their work, and add colored photographs. It's also equally accepted, especially if you are found actively doing it. If you are in it, it's very great. So the USCIS accept a whole range of evidence. When you send evidences to them, when you send a list of supporting documents to them, they look and take what they need, and what they think they will not need, they'll just put it aside. It may not affect your case in any way. So take note of that. So that is one way of demonstrating exceptional ability. Now, I took the pain to look at other sources to see how you can still certify exceptional abilities. And for instance, like I mentioned, publication and citation record. You may have published your work and you may, for instance, for EB2 National Interest Waiver Green Card, for instance, if you have citations, it's good. If you don't have, it still doesn't affect your chances anyway. There are other ways of you mitigating that negativity. Okay, so publications and citation records, if you have any, that is good. Recommendation letters. I'll be talking about recommendation letters as we move on in subsequent episodes. But one of the major important things in your petition or application is letters of recommendation. You are going to collect recommendation letters, and this is not the normal recommendation letter you use to apply for your schools or your master's program. These recommendation letters are written in a very unique way, which as we go through the training programs, I'll be showing you samples, how it is written. As a matter of fact, even you are going to write those recommendation letters yourself, and you are going to look for people in your field, professors in your field, people or mentors in your field to be able to endorse and certify that indeed you have these skills you have written in the recommendation letters. So right now you should start thinking, who are your professional contacts or your academic contacts that are capable of writing recommendation letters for you? And recommendation letters, especially, the more the person doesn't know you, the better. USCIS will view recommendation letters from your immediate supervisor having some bit of bias. You know, immediate supervisor cannot lie about you, will not write anything negative about you. But if the more further the person is outside your circle, the better. For instance, let's say you went to a conference and you met people in your field or professional field, and that's the only way you know them, through conference. That's the best. That's one of the most objective recommendation letters you can also get. It shows that the person doesn't know you personally or doesn't have any familiar relationship with you, but only knowing you by your work. That is what the USCIS wants to know. Grants from governments and NGOs. It may be that in your research, you are being funded. Ask your supervisor, ask your academic mentor, who are the organizations funding your research? It may be that you have received some grants. Some of them, your name may be in it. If your name is not in it, that is where your supervisor's recommendation letter comes in, writing that, in fact, this grant was getting from this organization, and you are the principal investigator of the research. So grants and recommendation letters, grants from governments and NGOs is also very great. Memberships, I've talked about membership in professional associations. Awards. When we say awards, awards can be financial award or just an award of recognition of achievement. So whatever award, for instance, like a best student or best researcher or best whatever, best conference poster, whatever it is, any award you are receiving, the higher the organization and the award, the better it is. So take note of that. Publish media news about your work or research. You see, this is something which is we don't do mostly in the developing countries. And I think it's my advice that researchers in the developing countries will start doing this. Whenever you are doing research, don't get everything stuck in your lab. Get some media people to write about your research. You see, when you go to the Scientific American, New York Times, there are sessions where they discuss research that goes on in the universities. In our part from developing countries and the rest, hardly do you see some of these things. Most of the times, there's a huge disconnection between the public and what the academic research is going on in the African universities. It is my advice that whatever research you are in, try and look for media spaces. It can be a local news media, whatever it is. Write about your research in a layman's language. Don't write it to be so much complex that people will begin to not be interested in it. So write like, explain your research in a layman's term and its applicability. After your research, how can we apply it to the world? How can we apply it to boost the economy of the country? How is your research applicable to the world that we live in today? Get people to write about your research, to publish things about your research. It's going to help you a lot. I know that when I was in graduate school, my supervisor used to do this a lot. He would mostly bring, even university news. University campus have news, media offices, which publish news that even happens in the universities. I believe that, I hope that African universities can take advantage of this and get their presence online. Right now, university rankings, some of them look at the online presence. How is your university so much present online? How is its online presence? Some of this is capable of boosting the image of your university and also image of your research lab. So let's begin to do some of these things, move away from a whole lot of paper stuff and get some of these things on the internet, get some of these things on the media space to begin research discussions on some of the things that goes on in your lab. So patents, contrast, technology transfer. I want to talk about technology transfer. Patents, if you have a patent, some people do research, they discover something and trademark, copyright it. That's what we call patent. If you have a product and you just put a copyright on it, that you discover this thing is good. So contrast to, let's say you are doing a research which is contracted by another organization. For instance, when you come to the US, let's say the US National Institute of Health has given a contract to your lab to research into a particular area in, let's say, pharmaceutical, or a particular area in pathogenesis or whatever it is. It's a contract which equally you can also use to show that you have exceptional ability by being the principal investigator in this research. Technology transfer is similar to the contract. It may not be that a particular company is sponsoring your research, but you are using a company as a study site. Let's say you are taking wastewater from a particular company. That's your study site and how to treat the wastewater. At the end of it, you are going to transfer this technology to the company so that the company will not discharge the wastewater into water bodies, causing pollution. So technology transfer is what you are doing, how a company will take it and scale it up to help their processes. That is what we call the technology transfer. And most of the research, you may not know, but your research have a huge technology transfer. And at times, it may be that you are even taking data from some companies, which at the end, you can fix it in that your research is going to transfer technology to such company to be able to better their processes or make their process very efficient or whatever it is. Now, others using findings from your work, and that comes back to citations and publications. There are others who may rely on your work in their activities. For instance, if you come to the US, whatever work you are doing in environmental science, the US EPA is very much interested in it. Whatever work you are doing in the health sciences, the National Institute of Health is very much interested in it. So look at agencies which will be relying on your work, which is taking ideas and knowledge from your work or your research or whatever you do, your profession. It's what we call the using findings, others using findings of your work. Leading critical role in your profession or research. So let's say you are a master's student. Huge funds have been thrown on you to carry this research. You are the principal investigator. You are leading a role. It goes a long way to show your exceptional ability. Let's say you are a PhD student. It's the same thing. You are leading a research. Huge a stipend assistantship is given on to you to do this research. Your monthly stipend is being paid for. Everything is paid for. You are the critical You are a critical role. You lead a principal role in the investigation. Your supervisor is only looking or watching over you to make sure that he's directing you to the right paths. But you are actually doing it. You are a principal investigator. And then the work is yours. So take note of that. I've talked about certifications or licenses, sample photos showing your work or your research. Like I said, any other evidence, this one also can really satisfy that requirement. So you have seen that exceptional ability is very broad, and you can use various means to demonstrate most of these exceptional abilities. Don't just limit yourself to the 3 out of the 6 factors. Just look to combine your exceptional ability factors with your advanced degree, if you have an advanced degree, and it's going to make your petition very strong. Now, as I'm bringing my presentation to an end, I want to use this moment to talk about merit, intrinsic merit and national importance. Part of the eligibility, you have to show that your work has intrinsic merit or national importance in the United States. And from my previous episodes, if you have not watched it, please I advise that you go back and watch it and also subscribe. From my previous episodes, I talked about merit and national importance, that every research you are doing carries merit. The merit at the end is, why do you do the research you are doing? When you carry out research, you write the application of the research to the real world, the applicability. How can we apply it to the real world to solve problems? You see, then that is what is called a merit. National importance is when you come to the United States, which areas in the United States will such applicability occur? So it's as simple as that. And I took the time to look at certain areas of the U.S. economy that national interest waiver actually occurs. So if you look at it, first of all began looking at improving the U.S. economy. It may be that you are doing a research which is going to improve the U.S. economy. And what are some of the examples of research that improve U.S. economy? This list is not exhaustive. It can go on and on and on. If I didn't touch on your research area, if I didn't talk about your research area, that doesn't mean it cannot be included. You can comment your research area at the bottom of this video, and I'll be able to respond which intrinsic merit or national importance in the US is actually going to apply to. So as you go through this video, as you watch this video, I'll advise that you comment your research area and I'll be able to respond at the appropriate time. For instance, let's look at economic students studying economic models. Yes, you are economic students, whether in the United States or out of the United States, doing research, studying some economic models. Yes, every country wants to improve its economy. So whatever you are doing, you can apply it to the bigger US economic picture to see how it can fit in the United States to create more jobs or to better the U.S. economy. National interest. Now, entrepreneur hoping to establish and expand a business in the U.S. Yes. So let's say you are an entrepreneur. You are not more into the academia field, but you are an entrepreneur. You have begun a business which is booming somehow, and you want to expand it in the United States. It's equally a national interest because we are in a time that governments are looking to create jobs. Create a lot of jobs for U.S. citizens. So that is also considered a merit and national interest. Agricultural scientists studying climate resilient crop production. Yes, U.S. is one of the major agricultural countries. We produce a lot. They produce a lot of crops. They produce a lot of things they consume. For instance, New York is into dairy production, a lot cattle rearing to produce dairy and beef. If you go to other Midwestern states, corn production is massive. So let's say you are studying agricultural science, studying climate resilience. We are in the era of climate change, and your research will be producing climate-resistant crops. That's a very great national importance and a meritorious research to really be carrying out. Tourism. Yes, Florida is a huge tourism state. So let's say you are researching into factors that will improve the tourism of countries, or that will make or not make the tourism industry. So that one is also considered a national interest for tourism. So that is it. Business students studying finance and taxation. Yes, for economy of every country to go on, taxes are needed. And if you can bring up models or strategies to actually implement taxation so that it increases the revenue of a country or a nation, it's equally also considered a national interest. So this is more related more to the business field, science field combined. Now, let's say you want to research to improve the U.S. environment, natural resources, and energy. What are some of the research that can fall under this category? Environmental scientists study invasive species and control. Yes, invasive species is a very big problem in the United States. And most of these species at times outcompete U.S. Indigenous species. So if you are somebody who is researching to how to control these invasive species, it's a very much security issue because it can affect food production. So it's a national interest research. Forestry students study natural reserve conservation. Yes, we have to keep and conserve our forest reserves. So if you are a forestry student or into forestry research, this is also great. Wastewater remediation scientist, you are remediating wastewater. You are treating wastewater to prevent pollution in the Great Lakes, pollution in the U.S. waters. It's a very great meritorious research and also national interest. Mining impact assessment. Yes, there are huge mining fields in the U.S. And if you are able to do a research to minimize the impact from mining or environmental impact from mining, you are also contribute to the national interest, and it carries merit. Air quality and atmospheric sciences. Yes, air quality is a very serious issue in the U.S. and it borders back onto EPA. So if you are somebody who is researching into air quality models, this is where you also lies, and your research equally contributes to the United States. Now, fisheries and water ecology. Yes, of course, you may be a fisheries and aquatic scientist hoping to improve the fish productivity or fish economy in the United States or food economy in the United States. Your research also falls under that. Solid waste management is a huge environmental issue, especially in the United States. Solid waste, electronic waste, people dumping household waste. They are purchasing and dumping more unsustainable use of electronics and dumping them into the environment. If you are researching into how to handle solid waste and electronic waste, you are also making a very good impact, and it equally qualifies. Bioenergy research, yes, we are in energy, especially Russia-Ukraine war. We are in energy crisis. So this is the time your research is going to come in so that the U.S. can wean itself from Russian oil and maybe go into bioenergy from corn, from biomass, whatever it is. It's also equally appreciated. So you see that even in the environment, natural resource and energy fields, we still have a whole lot of that research can fall under it. Now let's look at improving U.S. citizens' health. In terms of health, the health sector of the economy, there are a lot of research that falls under it. Cancer biologists, you are studying about cancer and treatment. It's a national interest. Health administration students, you are studying or managing healthcare facility. So let's say you are studying a master's in healthcare administration or whatever it is, still considered a national interest. Students studying pathology and virology to fight disease and infection. Of course, especially COVID-19. It's a viral infection, and if you are a virologist, you are very much important to the United States at this critical moment because of COVID-19. Students studying obesity education. Yes, about 70% of the United States citizens are obese. It's a fact. Go and read about it. Most people are obese in the United States. I have one of my friends who is studying very much, doing great research into this, and it's a great research. Obesity reduction falls under the national interest or the intrinsic merit. Mental health. There are a lot of people in mental health homes. There are a lot of people who are going through serious mental health challenges in the United States. And if your research is touching on this area, hoping to bring solutions to solve such problems, you are still important to the United States. Pharmaceutical research, health and wellness. Yes, health and wellness research also falls under it. COVID-19, I've talked about it. Biochemistry studies. Yes, your research into biochemistry, and biochemistry, it can cut across various fields in health or whatever it is, so it will fall under the U.S. national interest. Now let's look at in terms of education. STEM teaching techniques. The United States currently is lacking a lot of STEM teachers. When we say STEM, we mean the science, technology, engineering, and mathematics teachers in the United States. So even if you are studying education or how to educate students or teach students science, technology, engineering, or mathematics, especially in rural America or let's say Midwestern states where there are shortage of a lot of STEM teachers, the U.S. is going to find you of a national interest because you are going to solve a particular problem in some states in the United States. Curriculum development. You are into developing curriculum using some technologies or IT stuffs. That is also falling under the national interest. Math teaching in rural area. The U.S. is lacking a lot of math teachers. Research shows that a lot of Americans don't go into math. they don't like doing math. So if you're somebody who is a math nerd and you really love math and you are into math education, you also fall under the national interest. Now let's look at improving U.S. security and defense, bionuclear weapons, bio research, bioweapons, and nuclear weapons. Of course, the U.S. is in real wartime season because of Russia-Ukraine war and NATO, so that is also fall under the national interest. Crime mitigation. So the high crime rate in parts of the U.S. is getting higher. So if you are somebody who is researching into crime mitigation to improve the security of U.S. citizens, it's also considered national interest. Credit card fraud everywhere. They're trying to steal your money from your card. If you are somebody who can develop some algorithm to prevent these things, that financial institutions can really buy into, you are also of national interest. Then geographic information systems, whatever it is, it's an application which can be used in various ways, agricultural, security, whatever it is, it's also under national interest. So you see that the whole lot of things that can fall under national interest, which we have talked about. One thing I want you to know that no matter your field, there are fields which will cut even across 2 or 3 sectors of the economy. There may be a research which is going to solve health issue or improve health, or improve, and also at the same time improving food security. There's a research which is, for instance, let's say you are researching into a food which will reduce the sugar content in food, or glucose content, which is causing diabetes. Therefore, you are improving the health of U.S. citizens at the same time improving food security. So that is it. If you are environmental studies or science students researching into water treatment, you are improving the health of U.S. citizens at the same time improving the health of water ecosystems. So research doesn't even still is not mutually exclusive. This fields interrelate with others, and the more you can draw the interrelation and connections when you are filing your petition or your application, the better it's going to be, and the more your chances of getting the green card. So take note of that. Finally, I want to end today's session and let you know that this is not an immigration advice. This is for education purpose, especially students studying in the United States who are struggling to find employer to file green cards for them and who want to file their own green card. That is where this teaching or education is coming in, to be able to take hold and do or file your own application. So that is it. Today we have looked at the eligibility. What makes somebody eligible for national interest? For national interest waiver green card. We looked at the advanced degree, whether you have it in the United States or out of the United States. If it's out of the United States, you go through the World Education Service equivalence and convert it. And also exceptional ability, various ways you can document exceptional ability to convince the USCIS officer to give you that green card. Now, for next week, we are going to look at still the eligibility part 2. Eligibility is very broad. We want to look at the part 2 of it. And the part 2, we are going to look at a skeletal form of a typical application, how it looks like, how you should organize them into chapters. The skeletal form is an outline form of it. Then we will be looking at the processing time. How long does it take when you put in this application? When you mail your petition to the USCIS, how long are you going to receive response from them? The moment you mail it, in the first 2 or 3 days, or let's say 4 days, you are going to receive a letter of acknowledgement from them that they have received your petition, and they are going to give you a priority date, which I talked about in the previous videos. And what it takes, the fees that is charged, whenever you are applying concurrent or a single application or just filing the petition, the first part, what fees are you going to incur? So if your finances are very limited, there are ways of going about it. And if you have the money to file concurrently, there are ways of going about it, especially if you're in the United States. And the risks, the pros, and the cons, I've talked about before, and I can also highlight on it again. So this is what we are going to look at for next week's episode to complete the eligibility of the national interest waiver green card. Then from there, we will begin looking at actual filing of the application, what goes into it, how it is done. We will be taking a case study and going through it one by one to look at how the person petitioned it. And it can be your own template to also be able to file your own, edit it to suit your own style so that you can also file your own green card. Once again, my name is Daniel Aniniba, and I'm very much happy to serve you today to be your host. So see you same time next week as we go to the part 2 of the eligibility criteria. Thank you.